Back in 1954, Mercedes-Benz tasked its engineers to go out and create the very best car in the world. And you know what? They did it with the W223 Ponton. And since then, what has become the S-Class has, well, it's set the benchmark, hasn't it, for its elegant design, its pioneering new tech, and its unmatched levels of comfort. In 2021, there's an all-new 7th generation. And here it is, the W223 Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Let's have a look around. Now, under the bonnet for Australia, there will be 3 power outputs that will begin with the S450. Now, the interesting thing about the S450 is it gets 48-volt mild hybrid tech that gives a boost of around 16 kilowatts and 250 newton meters of torque, which is very useful. As standard, it pumps out around 270 kilowatts and is available with either rear drive or all-wheel drive, and is also available as a short wheelbase version too. Now, if that is not enough power for you, there will be the option of the S580 that also gets mild hybrid tech and produces a whopping 370 kilowatts. Now, later on in 2021, there will be a plug-in hybrid S580e that will arrive. Now, normally we don't get too excited about plug-in hybrids, but this one offers a pure electric range of 100 kilometers, which is very decent, and also produces 375 kilowatts. Better still, both the S580 and S580 Hybrid uses AMG's glorious twin-turbo 4-litre V8. This truly is one of the most relaxing cars I've ever driven. And if you're wondering why there isn't any sound of an internal combustion, well, it's because we're driving the plug-in S580e Hybrid. And it is seriously refined. In the past, a lot of plug-in hybrids, well, they've not really been that relevant to us Australian buyers, especially because we just lack the plug-in facilities. But this car could actually make a lot of sense to some people out there because it can cover up to 100 kilometers between recharges. The car we're driving at the moment is a pre-production car, so it's not quite the finished article, but there's one thing to be said, is they've nailed this powertrain. So we're cruising along now in pure electric power, and yeah, you wouldn't know. I mean, it offers plenty of acceleration and you can cruise up to speeds of 140 kilometers per hour. So Mercedes-Benz engineers have really worked hard to give the S-Class the most cosseting ride money can buy. Well, at least this side of a Rolls-Royce. And you know what? I think they've really achieved it. Except on the highway. On the highway, I think they might have gone a little bit too far. So what I'm talking about is this sort of pillowy soft ride. On a highway, it almost feels a little bit too underdamped. At almost 5.3 meters long, the Mercedes-Benz S-Class is a seriously big car. To offset that, like many of its rivals, Benz has now introduced an all-wheel steering setup, and it's quite an incredible piece of kit. Firstly, there's 2 versions. There's one that has steering on the rear axle that goes between about 4.5 to 5 degrees. But then most cars we've driven today have had a system that allows an incredible 10 degrees of rear steer. Now that 10 degrees of rear steer gives the huge S-Class the turning circle of a compact car, yes. So around town, this is really nimble and agile in a city, and it means U-turns are just not the problem, not the embarrassing problem you'd normally get with piloting a huge boat like this. Now, it's hard to argue against the benefits of all-wheel steering on a car this large, but if this were my S-Class, I'd definitely think twice about ticking that box. That's because out of town, the benefits, well, they're just not really there. On tight and twisting country roads, it makes the steering feel really inconsistent, and in fact, in dynamic mode, it feels, well, out of its depth the harder you push on. But then, if you want something that's sporty on country roads, you don't really buy an S-Class, do you? So I can understand that this has a more relaxed comfort bias to it. It's just the last car I remember being a lot better all-rounder. Another gripe I have about the new 2021 Mercedes S-Class is its 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, the problem with the 9-speed automatic is, well, it just never seems to settle down and do the job in hand. But aside from those gripes, the S-Class, well, it's still one of the most comfortable cars you can buy. So, as the sun sets on our first day with the all-new Mercedes S-Class, what have we learned? Well, once again, the big sedan wraps up pioneering, class-leading, mind-blowing amounts of technology with just one of the most relaxing ways to soak up a huge amount of kilometres. And you know what? When it goes on sale in the Q2 of 2021, we think it's going to once again rule the class. Pricing and trims should be announced closer to then, but it's well worth waiting for. This thing is, well, it's an incredible piece of work.